get together to co-create a breakthrough for freedom of energy, sustenance, healing, regeneration of the human vessel. Welcome to Fesig, the free energy special interest group where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
To Fesig's private meeting here. We have a private, cozy little meeting with the one and only Decode. Wonderful to have this small little group here, about 20 of us here gathered already, and thrilled to bits because Jean is here to answer our impertinent questions as the times now, it's really very, very strange, and it's bothering a lot of people. Where we're heading and all these big questions that, well, if Jean can't answer them, we don't know who could. So here we are. And so before I begin, I just wanted to say, folks out there, now, we only have less than 200 people joining us at our Telegram chat group, which is not good. So I appeal to you, please jump into our Telegram chat group. And I want to give you I want to share screen to show you the address, but we will put it at the description of the video once it's published, okay? We know very well that YouTube and Facebook, a lot of people left already. So if you want the truth, well, we got to subscribe to the other platforms that we got. Okay, so BitChute, please jump into BitChute because all of Jean's YouTube that's being published on YouTube videos, all right, I have been moved to BitChute. Okay, so I didn't leave any in YouTube because I think they were targeting Jean and a few others, even Carrie Cassidy and Kirstine and many others, and James also was targeted as well. So that's why our YouTube channel was removed at one time, and it was like, oh, panic's real. So we had BitChute set up. Please go into our BitChute, and our Telegram channel is just Fesig_group. That's it. Just hop in, otherwise you will miss out on a lot. And people who are on the Fesig group in Telegram would be informed of secret private meetings like us. And those who didn't get in there, sorry, they miss out. Okay, so this is very important now, okay? Right, so I'm gonna stop sharing screen, but no, I wanted to show you some stuff. So, okay, this is our Facebook, but I suspect we had been actually limited and not a lot of people has seen our messages. I think the most is about 100, and it's not good at all, folks. So please go to the Telegram group, okay? We, of course, have a lot of important information that we want you to look at. Unfortunately, it's not seen. A lot of work being done for nothing, really, basically. So this is our website, and this is the BitChute channel. You see Jean's there. Most of Jean's videos has been moved to BitChute. Okay, if you can't find him on YouTube, this is the YouTube channel. So he's on BitChute, okay? So look around and join and subscribe, and you will get to see him on our video channels, all right? So that Jean is a high clearance, is a former US Navy decoder with high valuable intel from the deep state agendas, elite bloodlines, adrenochrome. When he first started, satanic cults, he was like blaring away very bravely to all and sundry to wake people up. And thanks to Jean, well, millions of people has been woken up, especially on the dumb situation, the deep underground military bases that our co-chair press will be going into with Jean soon, to alien races, Jean's video interview, ancient civilizations buried underground, Antarctica, human harvesting, God, and the Great Awakening. It's really have a rousing, interest from everyone out there who's waking up fast and furious. Jean has come forward as a whistleblower with information regarding the liberation of the underground military bases, which I said so, and the emancipation of human trafficked children from these bases. Yeah. Okay, so right, I think I shouldn't say any more because everybody knows Jean. Right, I think I will then just pass the microphone over to Jean. We have lots of questions waiting to be answered. Jean, would you pick up the microphone and update us on what's the latest for about, well, 10, 15, or maybe half an hour, depending on what's flowing through your head and your heart. And then when you are about done, you just say, okay, questions, please, and we will flow with that. Well, Fres will then hit the gong and start with the questions. How's that, Jean? Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Crystal, so much. It's such an honor to be back on your private chat or channel or whatever applies. So how's my sound?
Can you if you could up the volume a little bit more, that'd be great.
Okay, let me just move.
My bandwidth is bad. Yeah. Not this one. Yeah, this one is just, yeah, if you continue, this was the latest video I did with Jean. Thank you, Jean. Yeah, for putting it in your platform that had like 14,000, 15,000 people flooding in. Thank you. We'll never be able to get that kind of viewership. Yeah.
I will try again. I thought I was looking at the right. There it is. Let's see. I'll come back. My bad.
Yeah, this is one of the videos Kirsten did with us. Oh, we miss her. Yeah, as I said, there were a bucket full of tears when you did the official tribute and memorial for her, Jean. Yeah, I was there. And the next one, please, Chris.
Yeah, this was how much I'd be missing her. So you don't appreciate people till they're gone. So it taught me to appreciate people. And stay in the moment and focus to the gifts that God gives us and the people that he brings into our life. Yeah, she could be a pain in the patootie, but at the same time, I really miss her. I love her so much. So she was a warrior for God, fearless beyond comprehension.
Oh, she's so fearless, my God. I mean, she set such a glowing example for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really love her, the woman. Is so brave.
And, you know, the one thing is she did always have my back and, you know, defended the things I said. And, you know, because as long as you were in alignment in serving God, Jesus Christ, she loved you and she would keep, you know, your back. She and I didn't see completely eye to eye because she didn't agree that there were negative non-terrestrials on Earth. Because she believed that all non-terrestrials are good people. Majority of that's true. Just not the main ones on Earth up until now. We're getting the bad stuff cleared out. She didn't agree on that. She didn't agree about the age of the Earth. You know, I have a lot of research and experience and proof on that. So, you know, like I did a video for her. We don't have to agree with each other on everything that the other person says. But
no, you don't have to.
Yeah, what's important is that we serve God and his creation and we bring out the truth, and that in that we don't sit there and attack each other and, you know, go after what somebody says because you don't agree with everything they say. That's doing the cabal's work for them, is calling out somebody or name dropping. Sometimes maybe it's that, I don't know. But of people saying, you know, well, so-and-so is saying that's what the cabal wants us to do, is so-and-so, you know, they're lying or this and that. That's exactly what the cabal wants to have happen. For the truthers and the people on, you know, like yourself, Crystal, and me, and all the other platforms I go on, really good people, to then turn around and start attacking each other. There's a lot of people, you know, I would ask that the people that are dropping people, that's why I don't cover people, dropping names and saying this person's lying or that person's doing this or that, to go back to what you're doing. And that's what I'm focusing on now. Go back to what I'm doing, which is to bring out the truth in the information. The information for me is about the dumbs, the deep state, the hidden history, the obfuscated and obscured history, the truth, the mockingbird media, like all the baloney they're saying about Ukraine, every single thing you see, there's nothing in mainstream media that's true at all. Not one video, not one picture, not one thing they say. It's like video game footage, even some of it. It's like the ghost of Kiev. It's a video game, for crying out loud. Bombs going off, that's also a video game. And then you got pictures from other countries. Even the MiG overfly that I thought was in Kiev, that turns out to be in another country. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't trust anything, even on social media. I'm now going to have my team, not my team, God's team, the Blessed for Service team, screen everything I look at. It's like, we gotta, video search everything. It's like, oh my gosh, nothing is true. And then with the narrative on the 19 and the stuff they put in people's arms and all that stuff and all that narrative is completely collapsing. And we, everybody pretty much now all over the world knows, thanks to the Canadian truckers rolling across the entire country, that narrative is completely alive from the get-go. And so we see it coming down with all of the things they require us to do being removed by country, even the hardcore countries like Austria that we're going to require that it get a chip put in with your information of when's the last time you got something put in you. And then if you didn't do that, they're freezing bank accounts like they did, like Chairman Castro Jr. in Canada was doing, seizing bank accounts and freezing bank accounts and seizing funds and all of this stuff that they do. So I would suggest to all of the truthers out there to do what you do so well. Tell the truth about the information and stop attacking each other.
Exactly. It's a shame. But you know what, Jim? I mean, some are bringing a lot of truths, but unfortunately, there's a lot of ego and all that in play, and attacking people who are doing the real work as well. But unfortunately, our platform, the Fesig platform, I must say this because everybody has to understand, all right, that we invite speakers to come in to speak because we want to learn from them. We want to get truths and knowledge from them because we're truth and knowledge seekers here in this group. So without taking sides, I'm afraid I have to invite this, from different factions, speakers to come in. And if they start attacking, I suppose we can, delete or or edit them out or whatever, or try our best. But if there are certain things that they need the public to know, we have to stand our ground on being a platform that is very open-minded, that would welcome and accept and embrace different points of views without hurting anyone. It's hard for us, but we have to do the service for all. So it's up to each and everyone out there to discern for yourself from your heart, right? To whether you resonate or not,
exactly. I just say to not attack each other, not name drop or mention people, but to speak. If you don't agree with certain information, I've done that too, where I'll say, as far as my understanding of this information, I don't agree with this stance or that stance, like I just spoke about Ukraine, or the things they require with the 19 situation. So going into the information, and instead of taking somebody down or speaking to other than known deep state people that are in government situations like the Rockefellers and Soros and those types, talk about them. Even that I limit, because I'm about what people do. It's not my job to judge somebody. That's God's job. So even with them, I know that anybody can come back in service to God through Jesus Christ. So I don't judge people. It's not my job.
Thank you. So we can see everybody paying tribute to our dear beloved Tustin. Yeah. And we have Jean's logo there as well. Oh, she's so beautiful, isn't she? Inside out. Yeah. So I just want to read a poem to her. our star sister. This is A. Price Hughes, read at the funeral of Lady Diana, Princess of Wales. Well, you know, she might be, well, she's alive, but well, it was read to her when the death was faked. Yeah. So if I should die and leave you here a while, be not like others, so undone, who keep long vigils by the silent dust and weep. For my sake, turn again to life and smile, nerving thy heart and trembling hand to do something to comfort others' hearts than thine. Complete those dear unfinished tasks of mine, and I, perchance, may therein comfort you. Dear Kirsten, in remembrance, we love you. Thank you for all you do for us, for humanity. Anybody else would like to say anything in tribute to Kirsten? What about you, Jean?
Beloved Kirsten, I miss you so much. I wish I could see your sweet face in a private Zoom again and laugh with you. I loved your laugh. You had an infectious laugh that lifted my heart and my soul, especially on my heartless days. You had my back. You protected me. You were my sister in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I know that I will see you after I leave the earth into a higher planes of existence. I'll see you out and about in the universe in service to God and Christ. I know your fearless ways, and I know you're not done. Thank you for everything you've done here on earth and everything I know you're doing now. God bless and Godspeed, my sister. Love you always. Jean Decode.
Thank you, Jean. Press. Press.
Yes, the Jean, I mean, thank you so much, Jean. And Kirsten, we're going to miss you. And we're really glad that you came and spoke with us at Fesig and showed a little bit of light into this dark world around us. And we carry on that light. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Pontus, you have a few words. Thank you, Press.
Yes, Kirsten, we will miss you, and thank you so much for all you have done for us and humanity. Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything here in tribute to Kirsten? James is not here. He's traveling. He's at an airport right now, in between flights. Yeah. So, what about you, Scott? You want to say a few words? Scott.
It was brief, but we shared part where we got to live during the most amazing part of the history of this realm. So this is just beginning. So I've lost so many people. We just lost somebody in Alaska, worse of a story than Kirsten. Him alone there, so sad. And he's like the 5th host we lost, including the creator of RBN. So we're not even through it yet. So we're just so blessed to be together at this point in time. That's all.
Thank you, Scott.
Just
Axel?
Yeah.
Axel?
Yes, yeah, I'm here. Yes, I think, like, as noticed from Kristen, her bravery. So I think she's like a role model for all of us. To it's so much of this fear holding us back. So if you can acquire this strength and fearlessness, it's yeah.
Thank you, Axel. What about John King?
Yeah,
You're
like,
muted.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's like to make a respect and big tribute to you know, all people of the truth movement and living with no fear and You know, it's just amazing what people put out there, and you know, and the dedication they've given, and it's big respect to Christina. It's you know,
Mhm.
means a lot. Means a lot.
Thank you, John. Henrik's not here, right, Pontus?
No.
Alex, you have a few words for Kirstine?
Well, I really didn't know this person, but I agree with Scott that we are lucky to be all together, and we should just seize the moment, no? Just enjoy the present and learn from it.
Thank you, Alex. I guess Adrian would want to have a few words for Kirstine as well. Adrian, you've been following her.
Yes, persistent. After moments or even lifetime, meeting again is certain for those who are friends. So she's not gone. Surely we're going to see her again in the next plane of existence, which is very near. So hang in there, Kristen, we're coming.
Yeah, we'll see her in the ship someday. Thank you, Kirstine, for all you do. We love you and we miss you. Thank you, Jean, for introducing Kirstine to Fesig. Right. Okay, you can stop sharing screen now, Fres. Thank you so much. So back to you, Jean, for bringing the latest updates to Fesig. We're all ears.
So thank you. Yes. So the main thing, of course, is Ukraine that's going on in the public's eye. Distraction from other things. For me, that's Sodom. There's a Gomorrah called Taiwan. That's as bad. The same amount of exactly what we're seeing going on in Ukraine with the laundering, child trafficking, human trafficking, weapons running, as they say, research facilities that, as you know, Tucker Carlson put on, and we saw in the hearing in the government with the lady in, I'll just use them so we don't get censored here, was saying, no, they have bio research facilities. Like, what do they asked, she was asked what they do. They look at situations in which, you know, essentially she's saying where, you know, viruses have been enhanced and we look at countermeasures. To me, that's wordsmithing, and, you know, Tucker pretty much said the same thing, where you're saying one thing and it's the same thing. Bio research facility. In other words, somebody asked me, do you have an automobile or do you have a car? No, I have an automobile. Do you have a dog? No, I have a husky. It's like, isn't a husky a dog? Isn't a something to reply to something? You know, you could say, okay, do you have weapons of mass destruction, as in nuclear weapons? We have nuclear missiles that have warheads on them for self-defense. Those aren't weapons. It's like, yeah, that's all in how you use it. So that's not, you're playing semantics, you're playing a word game. So in the Ukraine, which actually originally used to be Khazaria, it actually was, it's where the Khazarian actually settled after they left the steppes of Central Asia. They landed there originally 500 million plus years ago from their original home star system after they blew up their home planets with their stupid experimentation of Merkabit fields. They twisted and broke their planets of Ariana and Na. They came to Earth, landed in steppes of Central Asia, moved down and settled that region. And then in the 9th century, I think it was 923, but about that time frame, because the Tsar at the time told them that they would have to stop with their stealing people's children and sacrificing them to Baal, and stealing people and robbing people and killing people, and to pick one of the three original Abrahamic religions, either the Jewish faith, the Muslim faith or Christianity. So they chose Jewish, and they went and created Talmudism, Talmud Jewish faith. And that's nothing but the same thing they had. Again, semantics, playing a word game. And so the Tsar had the surrounding countries, because he, a few years, realized they didn't change, they just changed the name, they invaded, and they thought they got rid of them. And all they did is move to other places. And then with the Satoru regime, and his boyfriend, Big Mike, they set this back up again. And so now there's a total so far, and counting, of 26 of those bioresearch facilities found in the Ukraine. And they were doing incredibly evil things where they're targeting the specific different human genomes. So most people know that spike proteins target the ACE2. However, they have an uptake, in other words, a binding, where it's sticky, so to speak, just to put it in simple terms, where it favors certain groups more than others. For example, in Caucasian groups, the uptake is 56%. It's called upregulation. In African Americans, it's 39%, but in the Ashkenazic, Yiddish, Amish, Finnish, and Laplanders, it's 0%. So that's because that's where, when they were forced by the Tsar out of this area, they went to those areas and got within those people, and they interbred to some degree. And so the spike protein does not go after specifically in a certain, not everybody in those groups I mentioned. There's a specific modification in those certain individuals in those groups I mentioned that have a modification to their ACE2, which is called K26R. That is what the KM, the Khazarian Mafia, has. So those groups in those locations that have that modification, that is the Khazarian Mafia, the deep state monsters that are doing this. We are not just in a digital war, information war. We're now in a genetic war. They fired a shot to do Georgia Guidestones, what they put in their stones. They always show us what they're going to do ahead of time, long-range preconditioning, like they say in Tavistock Institute. And so they're showing their hand, and they have to, of exactly what they're going to do. And then those 26 and counting facilities, they were also targeting other specific groups, and they had made it so it was airborne, of things like the bubonic plague and tetanus and tularemia and many anthrax and many other things that are extremely lethal and deadly and horrific death. And so they were creating so that it would uplink to the genetics of certain individuals with a extreme favoritism to certain groups. In other words, again, upregulate. And so it would bind to those specific groups. And they were looking at, so they could, once they got their New World Order, if a group got out of a line, they could target that one group, pick any group on Earth. They could target that one group. Other than that K26R, it would have favoritism and not go after that at all. It would go after any other one group specifically, like they did that to the Navajo Indians back in the 80s, where they targeted them. And they did that Legionnaires, where that was targeted. And you can read about the same kind of experimentation in a book by Paxman and Harris, in which they wrote about over 800 experiments targeting the American population in a higher form of killing, is the name of the book, I believe, A Higher Form of Killing by Paxman and Harris. And they go through things like the Tuskegee, Alabama, and also a book called Bad Blood for that one, where they go into, they were watching and tracking African Americans in the South. And even when they came up with that had syphilis, even when they came up with penicillin and those people moved out, for example, to the north, up in the New England states or anywhere in the country, they wouldn't allow them to get treatment. And And that's exactly what we see now with 19 that happened to dear Karsten. They don't allow you to get things that are listed, that they pulled them from the NIH listing of the things like Hotel Charlie Quebec and the Ivor stuff that is a Mectin kind of thing. They won't allow you to get that. They force you to get things that are on their listing that shut kidneys down, cause massive damage, things like REM and then a DESI kind of Vera thing. And so they are targeting us to decrease our numbers, like I had covered before in the SPARS document put out by John Hopkins, in which their end goal is to create isolated communities that are completely separated other than the internet. In other words, little concentration camps of different people in different locations with no ability to travel between one location and another without permission from the powers that are them. Show your papers. That's what their goal is. So the human race and all of humanity on the earth need to realize the truth and do like we've seen with the truckers and other methods, because they're caught onto that, and now they have them all over the world. But they're now caught on, and they're, you know, like they did in Canada, they're impounding the trucks, crushing them, keeping those people in jail and draining their funds, and then fighting court battles for, you know. So we need to, you know, help those people that are there that they've already grabbed in Canada and froze their bank accounts and all of those things that Chairman Castro Jr. did up there. That we need to stand up as the human race and realize this is not a game. This is the battle for Earth and humanity and every bit of life on this planet. I played on another interview with Scott McKay, in which I went into a brilliant lady in India was saying how they have created a hybridization with animals, with plants, with fungus, and AI for every single thing on Earth. So their goal, through the stuff they're putting in people's arms, is to do that with people as well, to link everybody to the dark web, so everybody's monitored, everything you think, everything, you become human 2.0. That's their end goal. And so the Omicron, what people aren't realizing what that actually is, that's the Alliance. The Alliance created that, and they created that such that, yeah, you get really sick unless you do the things I mentioned earlier, like Jim Hummel stuff and that. But what it does is it'll create complete immunity to 19 and every other variant that ever comes from it, because it'll have some of the genetics that creates immunity to every variant after that, Delta, you name it. Not only that, there's now a few thousand cases because the spike proteins have many, as Louis Montagnier showed, who's the one that isolated the HIV originally, showed that it has hundreds and hundreds of sequences from AIDS, the HIV virus. And so in that, it's now over 1,000 people that have gotten Omicron and have now, that had AIDS, don't have it. So it may also be possible. I'm not saying it's absolute. It may be just some kind of something going on that we're not understanding, but it may also help to mitigate the circumstances for those suffering from that as well. And then the last thing it does, which is brilliant, is that it targets the genome of the Omicron Draco. The Alpha Draco have pretty much left the Earth through the portal that they created to go back to Minnetonka over Antarctica, because they're all about economics and investments. When an investment that what you're putting into it, the yield will not validate the investment, they divest themselves of the whatever it is, in this case, the Earth and the human race. They said it's too expensive, so they left. And so the Omicron are running that huge dump in Southern Africa. That's the whole lower third, a little over a third of Southern Africa. And so in that, the virus, they were told, just like the Alpha Draco were told by the Alliance, that you have a certain time frame, in the case of the Omicron, 30 days to leave Earth. And then we will do what you're doing to us. And so we will release a biological agent to target you. And we have a cure. if you'll come to the table and surrender and release the children and everything else, all of the codes, all of the satanic codes, all of the stuff like they're doing with many of the cabal in Antarctica now. If you'll release that, then we will give you the cure. But in the meantime, it'll actually utterly destroy the Omicron that are there in that dome and anywhere else on Earth and in this solar system. So what the Alliance did, there's been a lot of people emailing me, seeing many chemtrails. It's the Alliance. They've put frozen Omicron into the atmosphere, and there's only been one death from it so far, and that is a person that had about a week to live from another condition. Their immune system was already shot, and so it acerbated it a slight amount. They only had a week. If you're reasonably healthy, even not down to just a week, and nothing would stop that, it's going to actually make it better for you. Yeah, you might get sick and miserable, but it's going to be an amazing thing for much of the world. So that's why you saw it come up in South Africa first, the Omicron, because it's targeting the Omicron. That's why it's called that. And so the Omicron Draco look very much like the crest you see. It literally is how they look in Star Trek Second Generation for the Romulan Empire. That, and I'll be doing decodes on all of this. When I get my website up, I'm looking to get that up, the Gene Decode website, in mid-April to end of April, where it's progressing well now. Finally, we've got we believe we have a really good company that's working on that and getting the Blessed for Service website back up and running. And then when we do the Gene Decode website, they'll also finish the Blessed for Service website. So it's completely doing everything so people can go through that to get questions answered to their local coordinators of the Blessed for Service all over the world. In the meantime, they can still go to my Gmail. So then, that's regarding the Ukraine and Taiwan. So what's going on in Taiwan? Additionally, there are dumps being taken out continuously. So again, if you look at 10 kilometers, that's the primary depth. There are some areas where it's 3 and 5. So just recently, if you go to Peru, in Fernando, Peru, you'll see one there. Additionally, in Panama, underneath the Panama Canal, there's a submarine tunnel that runs near it to go under from one side to the other. And they're taking that out because it was being used for human trafficking and everything else they do. And that's in Corozal, Corozal. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right. Panama. And then additionally, they took out one in Venezuela in Valle de la Pascua. So there is ongoing work going on in other places besides Africa. In Africa, they've taken out one that's getting foothold situation and doing work going into the Southern African Dome. And that's, I'll just spell it because I know I'm not going to even come close to pronouncing this correct. I don't speak Afrikaans or whatever this language is. MWINILUNGA, Zambia. And then also another one in capital MBALENHLE, South Africa. So they are continuing to take out facilities all over the world. Another one that's really huge is part of the massive gold that goes from the Vatican Dome all the way up into the Geneva and the Swiss, French, and Italian Alps. And that's one in FAVERGES, Faber, however you pronounce it, France. So there's a lot of things going on. And of course, there's a lot of news about what's going on in Iran that's attached to what's going on in Ukraine. And so there are things being done with dumps going into Iran. So there's one in Kutaisi, Georgia, KUTAISI. All of these are 10-kilometer depths that I'm explaining to you. Also one in Itumkali, Russia, that's going in to that area. Also one in further out, much further away, that's tied to that system in actuality. And that's all the way up in China, in Karamay, or KARAMAY. And then one really deep into China which is Jinchang, Jinchang. That's in deep in China. So they're working all over the world to bring down this network that they've been trafficking and children and everything for quite a while. And there's so another one, where they do their submarine entrances into China is on the coast in Shanwei. That's Shanwei, Shanwei, China. So you can see all over the world the alliance is doing things. And of course, that's almost always, as you see it, 10 kilometers. The only exceptions to that is when you're above oil reserves or, volcanic areas and things like that. So in the US, for example, in Texas or those areas, you would see sometimes where it would be at a shallower depth, like 3 or 5. So for example, in Fullerton, Texas, you have ones at 5 where they're taking out tunnel systems, 2 of them in Fullerton and Dilley, Texas. And then also up in the Panhandle area of Texas, going into New Mexico in South White City, you see a whole series of them there. One of the primary entrance is at 5 kilometers, of course, the primary part of it is at 5 kilometers. And then additionally, you can see an entrance being taken out, which is at surface depth, 0 kilometers, and that's in Dorado, Arkansas, right on the border of Arkansas and Louisiana. That's a tunnel that goes from that. And then it's where they have a system for the submarines to go up the river, all the way up the river, Missouri River. And so you could see a whole huge amount of takeouts for that system as it comes out of that different depth there, where they had to go over to that tunnel system over there, going up above in Missouri River, up Cooter, Missouri. And you can see a whole line of takeouts going at different depths because they have to vary because of the water underneath is not always exactly at the same depth. You'll see a whole line of takeouts of earthquakes going up underneath the Missouri River, all the way up, going from that area coming out of that one I mentioned on the border to Louisiana and Arkansas. And then it goes up through Caraway, Arkansas, and winds up ending up where they're currently working as North Lilburn, Missouri. So they're working very hard in getting things cleaned up and getting the trafficking eliminated permanently. They're also working underneath the Great Lakes continually with tunnels that are going into those dams. They've secured the ones under the Great Lakes, but there's tunnels for the submarines that go from the New York Harbor and that go all the way up underneath Buffalo, New York. So you'll see them, one at 5 kilometers depth in Warsaw, New York, near Buffalo, New York. And there's also one that goes down the St. Lawrence Seaway. So those, again, because of the St. Lawrence Seaway and the dredging and different things that have been done to it, they've have to go to a deeper depth. So you'll see one in St. Ambrose, Canada, that's at 14.8 kilometers. So they're cleaning out that as well, going, for the St. Lawrence Seaway and Canadian areas. And so there's a lot of ongoing activity. So with that, that's pretty much my update, and I could go to questions or anything else anyone else wants to share.
Super, Gene. Thank you very much. There was a couple things that I was going to point out on the map, which is very interesting when we take a look at these dams. And we can start over here in France, which is next to Switzerland. And we have a 4.5, and look at the size of the earthquake at 10 kilometers. We go straight over to the ones that you mentioned, which are in Georgia, 4.7, 4.5, still at 10. Down into Iran, this is 4.1, still at 10 kilometers. Over into Afghanistan, which is 4.3, 10 kilometers again. The Himalayan mountains, 4.2 at 10 kilometers. Almost straight across at Beijing at 4.2 at 10 kilometers. We go over to near Japan, 4.9 on the Reku. This one has been hit a lot of times. This is not just a single incident. This has been hit several times. Up on top.
That one in Japan, actually, I have somebody there in that location that's reporting on that. The power did go out there, and they're doing things with that. So that actually caused power outages. The one you mentioned in Afghanistan, those are tunnels coming through underneath the Himalayas. where the Taliban is defending against their country being taken away from them because they burned all the crops and took over the country. And that's the cabal trying to come back in. Go ahead.
Wow. What's interesting, Gene, is when we take a look at that, we can almost draw a straight line through all these, which is one of the weird coincidences that show up. And it's like, wow, that's, we don't see it in straight lines quite so often, but that one is really quite amazing. The other one I want to go to here, Gene, is a little bit further south. For those folks that are watching earthquakes today, Fukushima, Japan area got hit with a 7.3, and that has caused some pumps to quit functioning near the Fukushima plant. So that we're watching that one. Gene, I want to go down to the South China Sea at this point. Let's see if I can get.
Yeah, and the one in Chongqing, that's actually is a straight line. That's a huge facility they've been working on for 6 months.
Yeah, this one up. This has been up here in that one, Gene.
Yes, I've been working on that for over 6 months. So that line you drew, the reason that one doesn't line up is they've already taken out the part on the line and they're going south now.
Yeah, give you an idea for the folks that are watching at home. That whole system is that area, and there's just a series, one after another, of 10 kilometers down earthquakes, and it's just peppered all along right by Xingning, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, Xining. That lake that's right there, it's close to water, and there's been a whole bunch of dumb 10-kilometer down clearings done in that area. I was going to go down to South China Sea and have you, let's see if I can get that out of the way. This is another interesting area, Gene, and what's interesting, you mentioned this one first, which is just northeast of Hong Kong at Shanwei. That's 10 kilometers down. It's a 3.8 across. Look at this one. Another 4.2, folks, 10 kilometers down. We're in the South China Sea. And what really has gotten hot, and we're going to go clear down.
Yeah, that one's part of the Kamchatka River, Kamchatka Plateau Peninsula. That's part of the submarine facility system that the Russians have. But that one, part of it, the Russians are taking out because it's part of a deep state situation.
Interesting. What I was going to bring everybody's attention to is this flare up that happened just east of Manila. And this is where, tell me about coincidences, Gene, come on. Let's get zoomed in on this. That one, 10. Let me get my bars and stuff out of the way. 4.7 again, 10. One next to it, this is a little bit newer, 5.2, 10. Another one, 4.6, 10. Another one, 4.6, 10. Another one, 4.5, 10. Another one, 5.0, 10. 4.7, 10. Almost all except for two of those, which were fairly early this week, all but two are all at 10. This doesn't happen. I've been watching the seismic in this area for 3 years straight. We don't get that many in one spot. Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, of course, that's a big dumb facility they're working on and taking that out. And you can actually, if you zoom in on Google Earth, you can see some of the lines because of the collapsing. So from the southeast coming towards the Philippines, along actually Subic Bay, Olongapo, which is the base at Subic Bay, that's now in the hands of the Philippines. It's a huge facility there where they have ships coming in and out for retrofit and refit and all of that. You can see a line of a maglev system that's coming straight into in a submarine system with it coming straight from the southeast, almost due directly, southwest, directly north. You can see it going to Olongapo, going almost due northwest, straight up. You can see it going all the way up there. And then there's a veer off. You can even see the veer off where it's collapsed going into that dump facility. So it's really, really obvious there.
Okay. And I've just got two more things to cover, and we had one oops, I'm gonna have to stop share. Everything froze. Jean, do you have anything on Ireland? We had one question in chat on Ireland. Do you have any new dumb information out of Ireland?
Yeah, so in Ireland, they're working on, there's a bio facility in Dublin Downs. And so that's tied to that in Ireland situation in which they're doing in Ireland. And so they're working on the facility that the trafficking of the materials that went through Ireland from the Dublin Downs facility.
Okay, just a second here. I'll bring that up as a, I don't have an earthquake mark on that one because my maps only pick up the last couple of days, but there's a map of Ireland.
So, for example, on a specific would be in Hockley, United Kingdom area, which is actually very close to Birmingham, Wolverhampton, and Coventry. It's kind of in between them. There's a tunnel system that goes all the way up through to Dublin Downs and down to Liverpool and down to, of course, London itself.
All right, that covers that one. For those that are watching the Atlantic, out in the middle of the Atlantic, which is due west from the Straits of Gibraltar, we have one out here with magnitude 4.6. Notice the size again at 10 kilometers down. We have a couple of ships that we are watching that are questionable, and they are going through the that area right now. We're going to see what's going to develop from that. And speaking of ships, we're going to go back to the United States. And in the news today, at this location, and
so I did, fail to admit how it ties to Ireland. It ties at Dublin. It goes underneath the St. George's Channel and goes into Dublin. And then from Dublin, it crosses directly underneath the main part of Ireland and comes out at Galloway. Galloway, sorry.
Wow. Okay, and I need to annotate, and I need one more. And we talked about ships, and what's interesting is a couple of days ago, and this is in the Strait Chesapeake Bay. Interesting coincidence, a couple of days ago, a ship ran aground right there. Now, are you familiar with that one, Gene?
No, I haven't been able to keep track of everything.
Well, what's really interesting is the same shipping lane put a ship that another one of their ships sideways in the Suez Canal.
Huh. That is,
and it's now, yeah, this is the Ever Forward went aground right here in Chesapeake Bay. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit, I think.
So that's in the Maersk line again.
And what happens is it's not very far from Washington, D.C.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's basically, I'm sorry, let's see if I can clear.
I would probably suggest that it's likely like with the Ever Given.
Yeah.
Same kind of situation.
Okay, I'm gonna stop share real quick and come back to this one. It's an interesting. Okay, stop share and I'll come back, and then I'm done. This is my last little post here for you. Let's see if that'll. No, there we go. And Washington, D.C. is, get my annotate going, and circle. Washington, D.C. is here, and the poor little ship is right there on the ground. Really, really close. And it went to ground, I think it was on the 16th of this month.
Fascinating. I'm gonna look into that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gene. That's all I have. Crystal, back to you.
Thank you, Fres, for sharing that. And Jean, thank you for updating us with all those that you shared just now. Now we are opening up to the floor because everyone has been preparing some questions for you, Jean. I think we can start with Adrian. Adrian, you stayed awake all night at the Philippines time zone. Perhaps you have some questions for Jean?
Yeah, it's way past bedtime now. It's almost 5 a.m. here, so better ask my question. So my first question is, share.
Stop sharing. And then, like Crystal said before, as you click to share, you'll have to click what she's told you.
I'm new to this, so.
So stop share. While you're figuring that out, I'll already comment on that. That's not actually Earth. NASA,
yeah. Let's just proceed to the question.
NASA has not released that they have found that Venus has atmosphere, oceans, and it actually has whole cities and everything that are already built. And he is there. So he's experiencing what would be 3D Earth after the shift. And so they put him there so he could report and show everything. Buildings got power. He found a police car that was actually running, and he drove, and people are saying it's connected through an energy matching system where he would put the keys or something at a location, and then somebody in that part of Spain would go to that location. He's in Spain. He believes it looks just like Spain. It's built up exactly. So after the shift, those that can't make the jump, that are in positive enlightenment direction, Ascension, they would go there. They would literally be lifted by ships and taken there during the CME event, so that they would be able to have their existence at third density and finish their work they need to do, because they're not ready to go to fourth or fifth. And also behind the Earth, there's actually, NASA's shown pictures. I have some of those that I've shared before, where there's a Earth planet, looks exactly like Earth, that's fourth and fifth density in orbit behind the Earth. And so NASA's not showing these things. That man's actually on Venus, and it's no longer looking like they showed years ago. They don't understand it, so they don't show it because they have no way to explain it. If they showed what it really is, what explanation are they going to give? I mean, what, global climate change and the developed atmosphere and weather and buildings? It's like, oh, how are you going to cover that one? So just don't make anything. Don't say anything. So that's what that is.
And he was able to communicate with video and text messages to our supposedly time here, which is the past, and his time there was 5 years from the future. Or was it a false time that he was in it?
Yeah, the time is a bit askew because of the shift. So he's actually after 2031 there. And so he's walking around because of the shift. It seems for him that's his time, because of all like he went to an airport at one part. He has all kinds of readouts like you have in the airport of the dates and times. And so it's at that time for him to hunt his understanding, and then the energy linkage goes up back for him to communicate through texts and everything else, like you were mentioning, to people on Earth now, so that people on Earth now, during the Great Awakening and what's, all of what's coming, he's able to communicate. And, it'll let people know that, yeah, after everything's gone here and life dies out here, like in the movie Intergalactic, again, long-range preconditioning, as lights and life starts to die off here, there will be somewhere else to go. If you're going to be at third density, there's still somewhere else to be and be alive, and it's in that year time frame, so you don't have to worry. A year that people can handle, that it's not so vastly far into the future that you go. So what happens to everything? And there you can see what happens.
So is there any relation to what the Montauk Project, where they went to year 2050, and when they saw everything, it was also empty and there was nobody there except a golden horse statue?
Yeah, that was actually 2045, I believe they went to. They wound up in front of the horse, in front of DIA. And it's various timelines. That horse looks different. Some it's gold, some like it is here, it's blue with red eyes. So because they wanted to see if there was a way out. So they're going to different timelines, trying to go beyond that time to 2050, 2080, 4000, whatever. But they always wound up at 2045. And no matter what location on Earth they tried to go to, they always wound up going to the horse at DIA. And there was no life, and most of the cities had been utterly obliterated by nuclear war or some genetic something, and depending on the timelines. And so they were trying to mitigate it so that they could survive. And the reason why it isn't working for them is, again, they're not going to Venus, they're not going to Median and Aurora Earth, their progeny, because they are in league with Satan. And all of that negative stuff for negative ascension, it ends. That negative ascension and negative works ends at a certain time frame. That's God's time frame. So at this time and no further. So their manipulation, their child trafficking, all of their wars, all of that stuff, done. There's none of their progeny that go beyond that point. That's why they can't go beyond their point. It's quantum entanglement. If there's no energy of anything of that part of who you are, what you serve, how you serve, that delineates your energy structure into the future, even through your progeny. If that doesn't exist, then you couldn't go there because it doesn't exist for you. So a little bit of understanding quantum mechanics on that, but that's the basics on how it works.
Yeah, and one final thing is that David Wilcock talk about the solar flare within the year 2024 to 2025, where everything will be burned to a crisp if you're not out here by that time. Is there some relation to that? What happened with the guy in Valencia?
Yes, that's what is called a CME, or coronal mass emission, which is due to the photon belt. The Cabal calls it the Masonic ring that cuts all the way across the Milky Way. Frass, you had something?
Yes, currently NASA has a spacecraft circling the sun, and it has an orbit which is an elliptical orbit, and they're going into the corona in a pulse. And what we're looking at with that particular spacecraft, I mean, it's got some very exotic metals and rubies and that kind of stuff to keep it from burning up or being affected by the heat. But it's not just one pass that it's gone through, it's several. And we're getting solar flares when we shouldn't be getting them. And I'll drop it at that.
Thank you for sharing that. Actually, in that one, there's a planet within the corona of the sun that they haven't told us. It was discovered through a mathematician in the late 1800s, and they've been hiding it. He named it Vulcan. It's a massive planet. So they're doing things in relation to that. I'll just leave it at that. The CME, David, I don't do time. I don't believe that time's correct. I think it's a bit later than that. But the CME, or the coronal mass emission, or the Ascension event, or is essentially like the 3 days of darkness, the rain of fire in the book of Revelation. Also within other cultures, Ragnarok or Phosphorite, or depending Hindu or Viking or Zoroastrianism, it's written in all of the different holy books of that time. Even the Mayan had it, where they talk about a time, or even the Hopi, where you go into the fifth sun. So in the fifth time, and that's a time where we come out, like in the Hindu and the Indian systems of the Kali Yuga, the dark time, into the golden time again of the next Yuga. And so that's what we're looking at, is the coming and the return of God's Son, Jesus Christ, and the new kingdom and they wanted their new world order for Satan. That's not how it's going to happen. God doesn't allow for things that are at that level. And there's a certain this far and no farther, and that's the line. So that is the literally created into creation in the orbit of the Milky Way of that huge field that cuts an infrared belt of energy 3 days wide. It cuts across the entire galaxy, and every half rotation we go through it. And so when we go through it, it causes a massive shift, and it ups. Suns do not burn because of nuclear fusion or fission. They are actually, you go into the electric universe, there's a huge group of scientists now saying that suns actually work like a light bulb. There's energy coming in and they're phosphorescing on the surface. And so that energy, as it goes down ley lines, literally like wires of energy in space, focus at crossover points in between what they call the egg carton universe, or if you look, it's a 64 tetrahedral metric layout, like Nassim Harriman talks about. In that, when you get a whole bunch of the points coming together, you create an energy congruence. That creates, as the energy gets closer and closer, it gets denser and denser and hotter. And then when it gets to a certain point, it ignites, and then that energy then throws off outwards. That's what a star is. And then as it throws that energy off, it continues moving in, and now it's cooled and dense. And it creates a planet within a star. So there's actually planets within stars, and they've looked down into sunspots, and when they get deep into them, it's room temperature. But yet the surface of the sun's 1,000,000 degrees Kelvin. 100 million miles away from the surface of the sun, it's even hotter, by millions of degrees Kelvin hotter. If it's coming from the sun, it should be going out as the inverse square of the distance, it's spreading. That means it should be getting cooler. It shouldn't be hotter off the millions of miles as you get out hotter. It's because, again, like I said, the energy is coming in, and then it gets dense enough to where it goes into plasma ignition, and then it radiates outwards. And so the energy coming in, which comes in through all these ley lines, if you pass through a huge photon belt of energy, it's going to amplify that field massively. Well, the sun acts like a relaxation oscillator. So the energy, the magnetic field of the sun is what's holding that phosphorescence, that glowing energy at that state, at that vibration level, or that density. And as that energy comes in, it causes that energy, the whole magnetic field, electromagnetic field of the sun, to collapse to its core, like a relaxation oscillator. That causes the corona of the sun to blow off because there's nothing to hold it. And that causes the energy at the core to oscillate and gain energy and jump density from third density to fourth and fifth. Then once you get out of the field that's holding it, that suppression field that's holding it at the core, which is that infrared curtain going across the Milky Way, it explodes outwards to every particle and every atom and every molecule of the sun, and the corona reignites and it blows off at fourth and fifth density and strikes the earth, and everything that can go to fourth and fifth density will be raised up, literally like the Bible says it. It's all raised up, and you're lifted up into a higher density, or if you were a level of heaven, fourth, fifth, etc., on up, depending on where you're at in your alignment and service. So if you're serving God in Christ, you're raised up positive. If you're serving Satan, you're raised up, you're dropped down negative in service. But that drop down only has a limited time frame that energy wave can exist in a positive system, because the entire energy system, as you pass through that, is inverted. Because at one side of an electromagnetic field, if it's positive on top, at the 180 degrees away on the other side of the Milky Way, when you come through, you have to have negative at the top. Or if it's negative at the top on the other side, you have to have positive. Well, now you've inverted it to positive orientation, which means that everything that's at a positive orientation will be lifted up positively. Anything that's negative that was dropped down to fourth and fifth density negative in a positively orientated system can't maintain that very long. So that's why you see at 2045, it's all gone extinct by that time, because you can't exist for a very long time in a system that's completely at a positive orientation from that. That's why they could exist for that, like the Aboriginals in Australia said, the dream time. So we went through that whole half rotation of the Milky Way in the dream time of that negative orientation, the Kali Yuga. Now we're coming out of that as we go through this photon curtain. Yeah, it's 3 days wide, but it's not like that curtain cuts off as a hard limit, it diffuses, it's like any electromagnetic field, it diffuses itself outwards. That's why the global climate change, it's not just this globe, it's every globe in the entire area, meaning all of the planets in the entire solar system we're in are experiencing global climate change. That's why on Mars, they've had a hurricane the size of Texas for the last decade. The red spot is growing. The blue spot on Neptune is massively bigger. They've gone up by over 5 times in size, and the Mars ice caps are gone that it gets, and all of the planets are having vast changes. Like the one I mentioned on Venus, it's changed Venus. And so the Venus has gone from first density to third density. That's why he's there. That's why he's, God showing it how it'll be for third density positive. And then NASA not showing that, and not showing what fourth, fifth density positive is the planet of median and aurora Earth that's in orbit behind this Earth, because they don't want you to know that. All they want you to focus on is negativity and revelation. They're trying to hold the field down, but you can't hold down the laws of the universe and all of the physics and laws that God set up for the entire Milky Way and every universe in existence. So it is, as the boards has said, nothing can stop what's coming. The Great Awakening will happen and is in process, because we're already in that field. That's why back Voyager 1, they launched it through to see if that was really there. And if they lost contact with that probe as it went through that energy barrier, it's there. We're hoping it was some kind of illusion, just like they showed in Star Trek, the first movie. They said it went down a black hole. Yeah, it went down the black hole after it passed through that curtain. It got pulled into the black hole, or actually by that energy field that's at the center of the Milky Way, because fallen galaxies have a black hole at their center with the sun trapped inside the black hole of that galaxy that all of the solar systems orbit. Just like in an atom, the electrons, clouds orbit the nucleus. Just like the galaxies orbit, all the galaxies in the universe orbit a central sun called Shigra. So the sun at the center of the Milky Way, Alcyon, is inside a black hole. And so that's why they said in Star Trek 1, it went down that black hole and they lost communication. In other words, as soon as it went through that field, they lost communications. They said, oh my goodness, that's actually there. So then they sent a ship to it. And so then in response to losing communication with the ship, when it came back, they said, we need some kind of countermeasure. So they sent that ship to the center of the universe to have travel that is, technology that's 1 million years ahead of where we are seeing on Earth. They went to the central sun, Shigra, and they literally found that from the throne of God inside that central sun, the 64 tetrahedral, or what they call the tetragrammaton in the Jewish faith of the throne of God, was coming the word of God. And so they captured the word of God, like I think it was John Hearsay was saying in 2018. They were bringing that back to back engineer it and to make it dark, to enslave humanity. But the Alliance knew that ship was doing that, and they had operatives on the ship, and they had a mutiny, took over the ship, got the word of God. And so all of the Starlinks could literally put that out and help with the Great Awakening, could clean up all of the Earth, everything. And so they have the technology and everything they need. They're just letting Operation Warp Speed do what it's doing to wake up the entire human race. That was why Trump did that, is to wake up the human race. You can't just remove a symptom without addressing the problem. So if you don't address why the cabal came to Earth in the first place, what was the open door, how humanity was serving God, how we were serving ourselves and not being respectful to each other, not being kind and considerate, and attacking each other instead of saying you're doing things that are off. And so are saying that this information you're putting out is not correct, saying, let's go to the information and just, not go after each other. And so in not serving God and respecting each other, it opened a door for evil to come to Earth. And you need to close that door. We need to get back in alignment with God and service to God and each other, and being respectful to each other as our brothers and sisters keeper, and that we respect each other and love each other and serve God and not ourselves. Any other questions?
Well said, Jean. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jean, I do have
I
a,
have
sorry. Okay. Rosie.
lovely.
Right, I'll
Thank
let you speak first. Go on then, Rosie. You have a
That's
question.
lovely.
Yeah?
Thank you very much, Crystal. And also thank you very much, Jean, for coming to sort of speak with us today, because it's an absolute pleasure, and I know you've done so much phenomenal work, and I've been following you for the last couple of years. Now, a friend of mine, Michelle, she had to run off there, but she was in this call. She has a question with regards to 5G. She has a lot of she has a couple of beautiful children, but they have put a 5G mast up within 100 meters of her family farm, and she's very concerned. So she's got little hats for the kids with silver fabric in them, and we'd heard that you said about putting up colloidal silver on the walls to sort of help sort of shield their bedrooms from sort of the impacts of 5G. And now she's saving up to get was it fabric that's made of silver? But what do you think, Jean, as sort of any other thing that they can do to sort of mitigate the damage from 5G impacting the health of children?
So if you go on many of the targeted individuals' website, they have website for clothing. They have paints you can use inside and outside. There are orgone energy devices like cones you can build. Additionally, the invocation that I have on my website and that you can contact through the Blessed for Service team through my Gmail, Jean Colo, COLOSEN SEI64 @gmail.com. They can send you the Jesus Christ invocation. I do that every day, every morning and every night, and put on the full armor of God. All of those things are very powerful and will help massively.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Jean. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Rosie. Jean, I do have a question myself. Okay, I just wanted to know about the you did mention, okay, we all know for a fact that Ukraine is not a country, it's a playground, right? So it's of the cabal, satanists and all that. So that's why it was taken down. The mainstream media is giving a false narrative, and that makes people hate Russia so much. And then we have a lot of us here because Russia has been sanctioned, and the cheapest energy is from Russia, but now the energy cost has gone up triple, double, because it's been sanctioned. We're not getting cheap energy. So what do you think is going to happen, Jean? Are they going to lift the sanction once the MSN? What happened to Project Rodin that you're talking about? Odin, sorry, Project Odin, that is going to take over Project Mockingbird. And when is it going to come? Is that time scale, or are you allowed to say anything about the timing?
Specifically timing for what, I don't pretty much do win things, but I can maybe answer to some specific.
Yeah, so I don't know how long this is going to drag on for. I know that it has to be the military, the alliance is allowing it to play out so people will know, and then they can stand in a sovereign right, so they can choose better and know what's going on. But I think it's a bit far too long now, isn't it? It's going on a bit, and
they have to let it go until the human race as a whole, in other words, above 50%, has woke up to the truth and the narrative of the cabal and the deep state. If you don't do that, then the deep state can walk right in with another ploy. You got to make people wake up to the fact that their media is completely and utterly controlled and completely and utterly lying about every single thing. I mean, if you go to, for example, this really excellent presentation on the Ukraine that this lady put out, it's what is going on, the war Russia used versus Ukraine. that she goes into like all the stuff I was saying earlier about every single thing we see there is a lie. If you don't solve the problem, and a big part of the problem is people are asleep and don't know the truth, and they believe that the mainstream media and the stuff they're seeing is truth. And instead of, and because it's somebody that's a reporter that's the mainstream, that's the person you listen to, or it's some general, like General Milley or somebody who's actually cabal assets, and you're going into believing these people because there's some general, that's why I don't put who I am out, because it's the information you want to look at and compare it to all the other things you find and do your own research. And then I use prayer. And then if it fits for you, then you go with that. So we have to wait for the timing of the main part of humanity to wake up to this. So the truckers did a huge job, as I mentioned earlier. Additionally, the Warp Speed is doing a massive job. People are wearing between those two, combining the narrative. Now, people are still believing Russia, 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 and not looking to the truth. And so once that falls apart, then I would say, then we can see something being done by the Alliance.
But Jean, do we have the luxury of the time to wait for people to wake up? Because apparently, well, we've been hearing that once the wave hits the planet Earth, we're all burned to cinders, and the timing's like 5 to 6 months.
That's at the very least 9 years from now. We got time.
Okay, so you're saying 5 to 6 years from now.
Yeah, look what's happened in the last few years. I mean, just since 2016 to now, when Trump got in, of how many people have woken up. I mean, I know when I used to talk to people 20, 30 years ago, it was rare I'd hit somebody that wouldn't roll their eyes at me, turn around and go, "You're a Looney Tune," and walk away. Now I can literally, walking my dog, I hear people go by and say, talking about this stuff, and that they're waking up. This stuff is not real. This is fake. That's not real. I can talk to somebody and share a little bit of truth, and they go, "Yeah, I know that. Do you know this?" I mean, to have people actually entertaining what we say and listening to us to any degree, like just even here, having 19, 20 people asking these questions who are awake. I couldn't do this 30 years ago. I couldn't get 30 people in a room who would listen to me for 5 minutes and not turn around and walk out and go, all of you are bat crazy. You're totally nuts. You don't know.
Jim, we really have you to thank for. You're a true hero, because you've got millions of people following you and watching and listening to you and clamoring for more and more from you. Wow. Well, you really woke up people big time, Jim.
Oh, thank you. It's people like all of us together. You, Kirsten, myself, all of the people come together to wake up those that aren't. That's why we're our brothers and sisters keepers, that we come together to wake up the truth to all of humanity and all of mankind, to realize that our money is fake, our debt is fake, our two-party system is fake, most of the stuff we've been told is fake. And once you realize that, you realize the reality you thought you were living is more ridiculous than most cheap B movies.
Yes.
I'm going to jump in real quick here, Crystal. And Jean, basically, we are living in a fractal universe. And when each one of us determines that enough is enough, it changes the entire model. And so to our brothers and sisters of light and stuff, we, each and every one of us, determine enough is enough. And when we realize this, then everything changes. And they say, well, when will that happen? Have you accepted that idea that you've had enough today? Thank you.
Rightly said.
Yeah, perfectly said, Fraz.
As you said, we're all connected with each other as one. Yeah, we all came from stars. So it's hard, actually, traversing this the density Earth. I mean, we're just like hell here because everything's so messed up. And to stand tall as a sovereign integral, traversing the spiritual path and ascending, going towards ascension, and not being a player, trying not to be a player, but an observer as a master would, when you feel connected with everybody else, especially those who are not awakened, getting the jabs and getting, as you were saying, there are hundreds of variants of the HIV/AIDS virus in the spike protein. So, I mean, you can't help but feel, oh my God, what we're going to do? We're all connected with each other. So what gives? I mean, it's already there. The harm and the damage is done. So what's going to be coming soon? Is there sort of a technology or dispensation or whatever that's going to turn around and restore and back to the original DNA genome for the Homo sapiens sapiens original?
Yeah, that's easily
Three
done.
strand?
That's
Mhm.
easily done by the technologies the Space Force has. In the programs, they have stuff that can wipe out everything, reset you completely to your original genetic structure with the different crystal, technologies and sound technologies, and all of those things are very quick and easy. And then, of course, always in true laying down all of your misalignments at the feet of the cross and going to Christ. Also, there's miraculous healing there. So there is many ways to come back from this.
Yeah. So you are saying there's not going to be any losses, that those who are like fast asleep and not done their work by willingly giving up to the jabs and all that will be restored
Of
totally.
course not saying that. Some like in the boards that said 3 to 8% will never wake up. You get what you get. If you refuse to look at anything but the lies you've been told, what seeds are planted will take root and grow. You're not going to plant weeds and have a crop of, a cherry tree grow. And so those that don't ever wake up and don't want to do things or listen to the narrative and will never listen to anything else, what is what is. Additionally, those that have had many jobs and, if it's the will of God that their time is done, it's their time is done. And then for those that have time and do start to wake up to the truth, it all depends on choices made. And timing of God, and everything is in God's hands. And so it depends on where a person's at, what their time is. There's no absolute solution. It's for a blanket solution for every living thing on earth. It's all what's your choice? How do you serve? What do you serve? What do you believe? What do you follow? What do you listen to? That is a personal choice for each and every being on the planet. And so that choice can't be made by any other than that being. Even though you're forced to do something, you're forced to do this at the soul level, it's always a choice. You either give in and say yes, or you fight and you never give in, like your Kirsten did. You never give up, you never give in, and you always say no. I had a demonic attack me when I was 17. Asmodeus literally sucked me off a third density. He disappeared right in front of my friend who didn't believe in any of that stuff instantly. And he destroyed me many, many times, physically killed me, all but my soul. And he said, "You're mine." I said, "That's never going to happen." And I just kept saying no. Killed me, put me back together, killed me, put me back. And I said, "Obviously there's some kind of law here. You can't just do because you got more power." He goes, "Look at my power. Look at, I go, "I don't care. You're a big bully and I'm never going to agree to. I will always say no." And that being had other souls that had taken, were looking and goes, "That's all you got to do." He's torn them apart, but he put them back together. And so I gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom from that. And in that, it kicked me out because it realized that I understood the law of God, which is no is no. And so all we have to do, the body for me does not matter. The soul is what matters. That's the one eternal life we are given. And that's given by God. And no being can take it unless you agree. No matter how bad it is. Yes.
That is akin to the harvesting of the wheat from the chaff, okay? So where is everybody going if there's going to be a segregation of the harvest, right? And those who gave permission and don't value the sacred vessel of the embodiment of the human body in physicality, okay, so they don't value their sacred sanctity, then where would they be going? Are they going to stay put in the third dimensional world, Earth, or are we then, who are more awakened, going to be moved to a 5D world, or are they going to be separate? Is the Earth Gaia going to be separated into different levels?
Again, that depends exactly what choices the person makes that sets the resonant frequency of your energy, of who you are and what you serve. So again, you know, if it's selfish and it's not respectful and it's not considerate to others and you're demeaning and destroying and calling out other people, or is it what they do and not even mentioning their name then? Is it saying this information is for me, my truth, and I respect you as long as you're not doing things that are harming others. You're not doing things, you know, but I don't call out the person again, I call out the information. So I say, okay, doing child trafficking, doing child sacrifice, trafficking in weapons and drugs, killing and murdering and genocide, these are wrong by the laws of God. These are wrong to each other. We are to respect each other and not do things we wouldn't want done to ourselves. We respect all life everywhere, and we act in the highest interest of all life. And it's that choice of your resonant structure that sets it through those choices. And so again, what happens, when happens, how it happens is all set by the choices you make and the way you maintain yourself and the way you bear yourself and your absolute morality and ethics in respect for everybody at the highest interest of all life everywhere.
Yeah, Jean, have you, through your outer body travels and the briefings and your visions and all that, would you be able to give us an insight of the perspective of how you see it, how the harvest is going to take place, like who is going where, and you know, those who are more awakened and have done their homework and done their whatever well, they are going to the higher dimension, right? 5D, 4D, 3D, and so on and so forth. So how is that going to be done? Is there going to be like, it's not going to be like a beam me up Scotty thing, isn't it? It's you and your guides, right? And God. But how is that going to be facilitated? Yeah, that's the word.
It's automatically set by your resonant structure. As you do things and make choices and what you serve and how you make your choices and what is your purpose of how you make your choices. Does the end justify the means? Or you maintain respect and dignity for all in the highest interest of all life everywhere? That sets your structure. And as you persevere through hardships and like Frass was saying earlier, it's the choices you make. And so as you go through those, it sets your energy structure and you literally accrue, you know, from others through your service to God and others, you accrue energy, and that increases the vibration of who you are and what you are at a soul level, so that you become a packet of energy vibrating harder and harder and harder with more and more vibrational power. In other words, a greater density. So that increases your density. So you would go from third to fourth to fifth, etc. And at a certain point, at about upper fifth density, you start to lose corporeal cohesivity because the vibration is getting so powerful. It's like a wine glass being vibrated. And if that wine glass was flawless, as you remove the flaws of your misalignment, that wine glass, if it could do that, would first become sentient. We're already there. The next thing it would do is it would start to vibrate so hard, it would start to lose corporeality, physicalness. It would literally start to turn into a being of light, and it would ascend to the upper density through fifth density into sixth and then seventh, and become in alignment with the entire universe and all of God and everything, and would be in service to all of that and in harmony. Service means harmony, harmonics, being in harmony, not disharmony, so that you're in oneness with everything. Where we go one, we go all. So you would be in service to all things in God's creation. And so it's through that vibration and unification to the understanding of that and your choices that creates that. And so it's an automatic set of how God created everything. It functions automatically now. And so, of course, as you leave corporeality, if it's not at the time you're ready to ascend, and you go in front, you have your different beings that help you to make decisions and to go onward from that point.
Thank you, Jean. Right, I'm going to give the rest of you a chance to ask Jean your questions that you've prepared. Put your hand up or just speak up, unmute yourself and speak up. There's not too many of us here.
Jonathan, you had a question?
Yeah.
Ja, ich habe nicht die Antwort. Hello everyone. So I'm Jonathan. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a friend of Axel. Work with Axel with the Universal Peace Center. We have a common goal with Fesig and Crystal. We are working for universal peace. So I just wanted to ask my question, and I have a nice picture to share. This is close to where I live. It's a picture of a lake. I've seen that you showed the Great Lakes area, and I just wanted to show that through our work, I was wondering, I was connecting with your work of service. I had this nice picture of a child that I took once when I was doing service at a local church here in Golden Valley, Minneapolis. And this child was obsessed about talking about peace in our heart. And so my question is, how do we make sure we can actually protect our family? I think you answered very nicely though already to my question, but I live in America, I'm moving back to France soon, and I just wanted to thank you for showing us that underground, the spiritual work, we have to be aware of darkness, and it makes me think of the Vatican City that was built around the underground concept, like they hide like vampires. Because they don't want to see the light. So what do you think we can do on an everyday basis to be closer together and work towards our goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say to see the best in each other, and I actually go out in nature on a daily basis as often as I can. For walks in nature where I look at the beauty of the creation that God gave us, and I look at the beauty of each other and the beauty in the eyes. You look at the soul within. The eyes are the windows of the soul. And so I look at the beauty of the person, and I understand that any misalignments is through the deception that's been done to them. And so I look for the beauty within each person, and I honor that beauty. Like in India, when I went there, they would say Satnam, that the truth and the light of truth that I see within myself, in other words, the God that's within me, the love of God, and I see that within you, and I honor that within me as I honor it within you. And so in doing that, then we can get our hearts at peace and be in alignment and harmony with each other.
Yeah, thank you. There's a question from my sister also, if Joanna, you want to ask. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Actually, I think that you kind of answered my question, because I actually had the same as Jonathan about what can we do. And it seems like your answer is basically that it's not so much what we do, but who we are, how we, like the choices we make and how we choose to live our lives. after that we've realized like the truth about what is really going on Earth. Is that correct?
Yeah, again, exactly correct. Because again, it's not, with a few exceptions, it's not what you do, but how and why you do what you do. What is your focus? Is it on the ends and you disregard everybody but you? Are you serving a higher master that is the same? Or is it in highest interest and respect to each other and all life everywhere and God, that you're in alignment and service and respectful to others? With a few exceptions, there's things like child and human trafficking and sacrifice and these things. That's a choice that has no possibility of being in alignment and harmony. So that, but basically, working a job or doing something and going and doing different things, it's the why and the how you do it. Are you doing it? Why are you doing it with respect and highest interest of all life everywhere? And how is it in the, being respectful to others, and you're doing it in a kind and service way, even in a situation like with my martial arts. If I come upon a situation where something is really at the very highest levels, once you get there, I've had where I've been driving down a street and I saw two men getting ready to beat each other's brains out in road rage, and in the back seat of the rear car was a 4-year-old girl with a scared look on her face that her father's gonna, screaming and cursing at this other man. And I just asked God, can I interfere and just confuse them so that this girl doesn't have to witness this young girl? She's not of age for this. And God said yes. So I just thought at them, forget it, let it go, be at peace, be respectful to each other, be kind, and let it go. And it doesn't matter what occurred as far as who did what to whom. Nobody was hurt, no property was damaged. It's all let it go. And they both were in the middle of cursing, and one guy raised his finger, pointed at the other guy and said, "You?" And he couldn't think of anything to say. And then the other guy said, "No, you." And he couldn't think of anything to say. And they just looked confused, got back in their cars and drove in opposite directions away.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah. So, my student looked at me and goes, "That was you, wasn't it?" I go, "Yeah, it's the highest level of martial arts where you deal with confrontation," like Marlo Morgan said in Message from Down Under, or Walkabout Woman, in which she learned this from the Aboriginals in her walk across Australia, their way of dealing with conflict, in which she learned. And she was at the beach with her grandson after she got back from that, and a man broke open the door with a crowbar and had it over his head with drug crazed eyes, going to beat their brains in and steal all they had. And she opened her arms and said, "I am here for you. And I know I am exactly where and when I need to be. And I welcome you in honor. And I know you are exactly where you need to be in your process of learning who you are and why you're here." And he dropped the crowbar and ran out of the bathroom, women's bathroom. He was a little young boy, so she was taken to the bathroom. And the little boy turned to Marlo, it's her grandson, and, "Grandma, what did he see?" She goes, "Whatever it is that was the most terrifying thing that's making him do what he's doing." In other words, he saw his demon revealed to him, because that was what was making him do that. So he saw his truth and not the truth of the demon anymore. And that's exactly how that's done. At the highest levels of martial arts, it's a win-win, because in that situation, everybody wins. And then the person can deal with their situation and get rid of their demons and see the demons for who they are and what they are, and get back to their truth. And they realize that, and get harmonically resonated again and realize the truth. And so in that manner, it's how we do and what we do, and the why at the long term is being in the respect and dignity, all life everywhere, in the highest interest. Thank you. Beautiful question.
Anybody else got any question prepared for Jean?
I have one. I have one question, Jean.
Oh, yes,
God bless
Stephanie,
you.
go ahead. Yeah.
God bless you, Jean. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Your questions are brilliant. Jean, it's an honor. Just a 1 quick and a half. What percentage are we at? Do we have an idea of what percentage of our humanity awakened to make the proper choice to say no more? That's the first one. But the second one is regarding the frequency and constancy of our heart resonance in our renewing emotional signature from the second that we wake up in gratitude and love for this magnificent earth. It's a choice to feel. And if you have a comment about feeling emotion and love, which you have been expounding on, I came in late to the program, but to talk about the sacred heart made in the image and likeness of God that we all have, and how we choose to use it and employ our resonance frequency from the second that we wake up. And just to expound on that. One is percentage, how far do we got to go? And second, expound on the heart.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So we're getting actually close to the tipping point. As David Icke said, the turning of the tide. Worldwide, we're at about 48% of the human race is awake to the cabals and the deep states misalignment in their service to and the laws and the highest interest of all life ever, and being in service to themselves and their darkness. And so we're getting really, really close. And there's even that have been in that darker misalignment that have come out of it. I even know personally of 2 Alpha Draco in meetings that showed up at the meeting, and I'm like, are they here as captives? And they came up to me, go, no, Gene, we're not here as captives. We saw the drawings your wife made of how we looked before our queen, Nana Enlil, signed with the AI queen, Sophia, and we were dropped down into decrepitude. And we remote viewed that in time of that blood signature on that agreement. And we realized the truth of it. And so in that, we have realigned and did what you said and gone to God in Christ. And so through that, we are realigned. And I could see that they're, I saw them later, even more so, their wings, which as an Alpha Draco aren't usable, they're, atrophied so badly from their misalignment. We're actually close to being able to be used again. They had started to fill out the scales, which were, kind of just like like a maggot looking, kind of white. They look like a kind of a maggot white color.
Yeah.
We're actually starting to get back their original iridescence of the sparkling rainbows that come off of them. And it's beautiful. I'm like, wow. They go, yeah. So thank you for the help. And I go, thank my wife. She was the one that drove that. It's, don't we need to show them what they used to be? I go, yeah.
Beautiful.
So in that, it's like you said, to see the beauty in each other and to see the beauty of what we were made by God to be, and the beautiful creation, the earth and all of this creation is stunningly beautiful. Stunningly harmonic in a single proportion, 5 proportion. Everything is interrelated, interconnected in complete unification and harmony. And it's only this misalignment in not the majority of the universe, not by far. Just in this octant of the universe that used to be the white pearl is now the black octant. It used to be a beautiful white pearl color. Now it's a fallen, area, but it's getting realigned, and in that exact way through coming and seeing the beauty of how we are originally created to be. The original genetics we had is a 64 genetic strand structure in line.
Wow.
Yeah.
64.
64. That's why in the human body, there's 64 amino acids. We're only using 4 to carry information between 2 genetic strands, not 64.
Right.
That's only 2 pairs. So when you go back to 64, you don't when you with the beginning of the indigo children, when they were getting triple helix, that's not just one more strand of information. It means that you, instead of 2 ladder legs, you have 3. So you have a 200% increase in connection points, but you don't now only have 2 pairs of 4 amino acids. you have more amino acids. If you go all the way back to the original 64 amino acids, 32 pairs with 64 strands, how many interconnections? Do the math, it's massive. It's what
Massive.
Nada said, the feats of consciousness the human race was originally capable of.
Oh my God, yeah. Extraordinary beyond words.
Yeah. We can't
magnificent, magnificent visual. So tell me about the heart. So people have been asking what to do. There's obviously so much incredible power within our heart that, you know, we get very left, right brain, black, white, bad, you know, we go back, positive, good. We get stuck in our head when really all this magnificence can be equalized from the heart. And the breathing, by eating right, but also the feeling, the emotion, recognizing our emotions and choosing the renewing, elevating emotions of the structure of these emotions, the sacred geometry of our emotions are so powerful. That's why they manipulate
Stephanie,
us with
I'm
fear.
afraid I have to keep you short because we
Oh
can't
yeah, sure, go
keep
ahead.
talking for
Jean-
more than 2.5
Jean's
hours now. Yeah, and we can't do videos more than 2 hours anyway, but we're pushing it now.
Okay,
So,
good. Thank you.
well, Jean has talked about the heart in all his videos, so you could get answers from there. And in his other videos with us and other videos in his own website as well. So I have to close now. I will need to last call anyone else
Rosie?
who had one last question.
Rosie,
Anybody
please.
else?
Yep. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Fraz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Look, Ron had a question he was going to ask you, but his internet has fallen away. He lives out in West Cork and in Ireland, and there was a whole Russian fleet came over to visit his, well, not his house, but out sort of in the waters just beyond where he lives. And I just sort of wondered what Jean had to say with regards to that, because we'd sort of thought that possibly in the southeast that there was some talk about there being a dam out in the southeast in the coastal area of Cork, or a sort of like a UFO connection there too, sort of maybe 200 miles just off the southern, the southwestern coast of Cork. I wondered if Jean had any kind of any kind of an insight there, because I thought that they were going to be clearing the dams, and that was one of the sort of troublesome kind of areas, and I thought that's maybe why the Russians came in. Just would Jean have any thoughts about that?
You're correct. That's doing what you're saying. I can't go into specifics because I can't compromise operations. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So do you know what that's answer enough. Thank you so much, Jean. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rosie. I think that's about it, folks. Pontus, have you got any last say of us? Before we close.
Maybe you can expand a little bit on what's happening in Ukraine.
Jean?
Yeah.
Yes, so Kiev is pretty much completely done, cleared. They're just doing, pretty much the final mop up. The cabal mercenaries for Ukraine were the main thing that's left. They were in Kiev and several other locations using humans and specifically, children and civilians as shields, human shields, and they were blaming that on the Russian military. It's not the Russian military, it's the Ukrainian mercenary forces. The force that's in Donbass, under Donbass, is a massive dump, as well as a lot of bio research facilities, as they say, interconnected with a lot of human sacrifice trafficking situation of children and other things going on. That region is the Donetsk and Donbass regions, that whole area, and it goes all the way down into Kherson, the tunnel system. Kherson had a space arc that's activating because the Orem fleet is coming into the system, just like you saw in the 4th of July movie, where the fleet, when they came in, the ships they had started to activate. All of those arcs are activating now all over the world. There's 3 in Canada. There's one underneath that Olszewski Nature Park in Kherson. It's connected by tunnels. They put tunnels into it because they wanted to be able to use it. They're unable to do that. The Russians are locking that area down, as well as the Donbass, the last of their main mercenary group. But it's, you know, they have a cauldron, as they call it. They surrounded them entirely. And what that is to create pressure. So they lay down their, what the hope is, they lay down their weapons to surrender. The problem is within each battalion of these mercenary forces are 13 individuals, and their job is to kill anybody that lays down their arms. So you have these assassination squadrons of 13 within each battalion. So it may be that it just has to crumble. That's the other option. Their military crumbles and collapses in that region. And then almost everything east of the Dnieper River, as you see flowing all the way from above Kiev, all the way down to Kherson and out into the Black Sea. Almost all of that is now under the Russian military. It was to free all of this region that was cleared out of the original Golden Horde, the Khanate, under the great grandson of Genghis Khan. That was this Khazarian area at its worst, where people couldn't even live there. They would just kidnap them and sell them into slavery. So the Tsar settled that area, cleaned that out, and it was settled by Russian people. It is Russian people, and they have Russian speaking language. They weren't being allowed to speak their language. They were being forced to speak Ukrainian, and they weren't allowed to practice their culture. And so the current Kiev government of Ukraine under Vlad Zelensky, you know, Chairman Zelensky was killing the Russian people in there. All of the killing and the bombings and many of that you're seeing, that's all video footage. If it's actually in Ukraine, is video footage of the Ukrainian military, you know, mercenaries going and killing Russian people for the last 8 years. It's not even recent footage. Then also, they've also locked down Odessa all along the Moldova border, from Odessa all the way up to where you see that borderline in there is completely now locked down. Also, a total, as I said, of currently 26 bioresearch areas have been found and completely removed, and they've cleaned them out and been very, very careful to make sure that it's correctly disposed of. And then in the Lutsk, L-U-T-S''K, there's more there. And then there's actually a place that Trump is alluding to in his speech, China. It's actually CHY''NA. That area is actually being worked on now. And so that is another facility they have there in a dump underneath China. It's not the correct pronunciation. It's Trump trolling the deep state as he does. And so that actually is an area that does exist in Ukraine. That's the last part of the name of the area. It's, there's a bunch of Ukrainian wording before that. And it's, I think, near I don't see it on this map. It's somewhere around Thermopyl, or I don't speak Ukrainian or Russian, so I'm sure I'm not even remote.
Chernobyl.
Yeah, thank you. So it's near that area, I believe. So, and I think X-22 actually showed that, so people can go look at the last X-22 presentation in which he went through that. And so it's pretty much a done deal. I don't see anything left to do after about 2 or 3 days. That's what I expect, is 2 or 3 days and this is done. And we'll see a line that goes from that top, Moldova border going pretty much all the way up straight to Belarus, in which that'll all be secured. And then that'll be a new country, which will be a Russian Federation country, actually a bit more further west. It'd be you know, if you go even, yeah. So if you were go between the A and the R of the Belarus border, underneath the A and the R, directly south, and draw a line to where you see that dotted line on the map, that would be all of the eastern section. Yeah. So pretty much straight down though, not arc, not angling, straight due south, not southeast. So go down to between the A and the R, down to between the L and D of Moldova. Yeah, from there straight down that line there, then you would have all of that being a new country, and that would, yeah, perfect. So from that line, of course, you're going to follow the features of the land like they always do and create a new border. I am projecting it's highly probable that the majority of that would be a new federation, a new country that would be aligned to Russia, and that would give them the buffer that they need. The Ukraine wanted to have nuclear weapons. They wanted it to become part of NATO. That would be just what Kennedy said no to, of having nuclear weapons in the near the borders of the United States in Cuba, and Russia pulled out from that. The Soviet Union at the time. Putin is completely correct in saying that is inappropriate for that to be a NATO state, which was NATO was created to be against the old Soviet Union. It's not supposed to be against Russia. And so they've created actually a new NATO alliance. There's a NATO alliance that is not against Russia. And so in that whole area will be a buffer zone, so that the Ukraine can be that the western section, and they have the buffer they need between their borders, so that they don't have nuclear weapons in these laboratories and all of this stuff on their border, where it could literally be hiked in a backpack across, or driven across the border into their country. We didn't put up with it in the United States. Kennedy wouldn't put up with it. Putin shouldn't have to be put up with it. He's been asking for 8 years to end the aggressions and killing of Russian people in that whole eastern area east of the Dnieper River. And nothing has ever been done. And so there's a point, just like Frost said, and Pontius said, enough is enough, we're done. And so he did exactly that. Enough is enough. And if you don't stop it now, it's very soon they would have made it a nuclear power. And so they've agreed to put nuclear, power and, refining and all of that in Iran, and it would be going right straight to Ukraine. And so he is absolutely correct in his timing. It's all very, very important. There were 2 DO facilities, in which one was in Odessa and the other one is in the Chernobyl. And they took out the Starlink satellites, and they had to put them that were the final part of the net over the entire Earth for a worldwide SDI system. So now, the Tesla Industries, Elon Musk put up the rest of that, and it's finished. And so now there's a worldwide SDI net that you can't have unlimited global nuclear war anymore. And that'll give us a free internet when it's completely up. It'll give us all of the True Social, all of that stuff that Trump's been talking about worldwide. So all of their Facebook, tracking of you and cell phone tracking and all this 5G garbage, all of that will come down, and it will see something that's miraculous and beautiful. And that's why, again, he had to go in, because they were doing that launch the day after he started. And so he went straight into Chernobyl first, and to get those servers and all of that information that's now coming out, and they're already getting the stuff. All of the servers and information have been gotten, and they're already having testimonies in Ukraine of the people that, when Chairman Biden went in there, Chairman Zhidin, as I call him, Comrade Zhidin said he, was in Ukraine, and he, in the CFR, and, he said, you're not getting the $1 billion unless you do that, get rid of him. And I mean, now before I leave, and I got like 3 hours, and, then he said, well, I'm not going to say the word, but lo and behold, the guy was fired. And yeah, we know the corruption, and that's what Putin is removing. And it's not just, his son Hunter. It's also Pelosi's children, Kerry's children, quite a few of them. It's more than the 4 they're even putting out. a whole massive amount of people, Democrats and rhinos, had children working this in there, as well as the mafia types like Whitey Bulger in there. So it's a massive situation in which Putin did the right thing. He went in there very, very gently and very carefully, and with these labs, with the nuclear facility, there was no nuclear radiation release. That was a training facility where they had massive weapons. It didn't have an actual reactor. It had a training system that behaved like one, but it's not actually a real one. And that was false news, just like the kindergarten, like everything they are saying that's going on in the Ukraine. Nothing they're saying is remotely true. And so with the labs, with the nuclear facilities, even with the safety corridors, he's got safety corridors now up and running because Zelensky also was saying, kill anybody that tries to leave. And you can go and see videos of where there's vehicles littered and people all over the place that have been shot trying to get out of the country. And, when he went into that nuclear facility, the Russians went in there, the mercenaries that were in there that were supposed to blow that up and make a nuclear event, a nuclear yield and a massive mess, they actually surrendered and signed a paper, and the Russian military had them sign a paper that if they would cease and desist and go home and not be involved anymore. And they did that. They let them go, and those people honored their agreement and went home. And so the Russian military and the real good people, the Ukrainian people, are doing what we all should be doing, is respecting life and respecting each other and resolving this conflict and getting it done. And so that the Russian people there have the dignity to live their life and uphold their culture. We're not supposed to be a worldwide global situation. We're supposed to be independent nations and countries that honor our culture and honor our our inheritance and all of those things of who we are in unique and beautiful diversity of God, that created people in different ways and different cultures and different cultures for thousands of years, to respect that in each other and to live in peace and harmony and kindness of heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you so
Jean,
much.
thank you, Pontus, for the question. Jean, I could sense that you are a little tired now from your voice. Okay, I'm gonna add to
not so much tired. I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, go on and skip to the loo while I conclude a bit about this.
Okay, I'll skip the loo. Be back in a minute.
Yeah, okay, I'll just help you conclude. Okay, folks, if you look at this, right, I will ask Jim in a moment when he comes back. This bombshell Ukraine press release about Joe Biden must video that ought to go viral, but unfortunately it's not really going viral. Not enough people are watching this, because this is true evidence of the Ukraine being the playground of the Satanists, the evil controllers. And then you see recordings and even messages of Hunter Biden to his sister that he actually killed people there in the biolabs and all that. So it's really good if you could all subscribe to Physics Telegram group, because we do post links like this for you to understand what's going on, right? So if this one goes out in a viral fashion and millions of people get to see it, then they will know the truth, because the Mockingbird MSM has been doing a horrible smear campaign on the heroes. It's the opposite, and lying to the people. So the people get lied to every day, every moment.
Got back.
Hi, Jean. You're back. Yeah. So I'm saying, if we're not. Yeah. Did you hear what I was saying, Jean, earlier about
I just
the
got
people not being able to wake up because Mockingbird is still going on? Hard hitting with lies.
Yeah. So, for me and the star seeds, a majority of us have coding. For me, it was one single word that woke me up like a bucket of ice over my head. It was like, whoa, everything I ever know is I've been lied to.
Sorry to hear that.
And so it's, for the mainstream, a lot of people, it takes a long time of one drop after a drop after drop of information going to where they suddenly realize that the whole foundation of everything they believed is built on lies. And you go, wow, that nothing I'm seeing makes sense anymore. And so it's the predominance of information for the majority of humanity, and for mankind, it takes even more, to where has to be well over half of the earth is awake. And when that happens, it'll be a wave. There'll be a DeFi avalanche. Like you see when an avalanche starts, it first starts with a small crack, and you see it starting to go across the top of the slope. And then when it gets to the end of the slope where the rocks are, then that whole piece starts to, you hear it cracking, the whole down to where the sugar snow is. And so you have this hard layers of packed information that's, in this case, all built on lies. That's the corn snow. It's garbage. So it doesn't hold together, has no cohesiveness. Once that crack is through of all that pack of lies they built, then the whole thing starts to move slowly at first. And that's what we're seeing, is it starting to move slowly. We're seeing it coming down the slope, and then it picks up speed. And within very short time, it's going 200 miles an hour. Down the slope is a massive slab avalanche of things the size of semi-trucks. And that's what we're seeing in the world. Many, many countries, people are waking up. You see the convoys all over the earth now in different countries. You see people on social media, and you hear people out when you're walking, all over the world. You see people. When I travel, I've traveled the world, before all the you can't go here, you can't go, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. I'm not going to do that, so I can't go anywhere outside of the country. But I did, we used to go to 3 countries a year. And even back in 2014 and 2015, 16, all the way up till 2018, 19. And I would go to places like Bali or Japan or, Philippines or Cambodia, Myanmar, all over the world. And generally speaking, people are more awake than the US. Pretty much. Most of the world is, even the drivers and things we would be going by. And he was saying, you seem to know some things that I don't know. And so I was wondering, I see all this weird, and I get this really bad feeling when I drive by this building. And I go, that's because you see in the ironwork in the building, that's the sigil of Satan. He goes, oh my God, he backed up and parked the car. Okay, what is it again? He's like, well, that makes total sense. And now that understand, all right, when I was in Cancun, my wife and I went and celebrated our 21st wedding anniversary and renewed our vows. And so when we went there and we did that, and our driver taking us from the airport to our hotel in Cancun, he had a cross on his rearview mirror. And so I was talking to him about God in Christ, and he goes, why is it that so many people seem to not know? I go, because a darkness descended on the earth. And he goes, but I see, and I started talking a little bit red pill, and he was, yeah, I want to know, tell me everything. Before, you wouldn't have that. So the people, even where they're not awake, they're a lot outside the United States are much more open to hearing it. And so it's just, they've farmed us so well in the United States. They've done an amazing job. I got to hand it to them on that one, And so it's just getting the light, that first crack of light into somebody's soul, to where the light of the Holy Spirit can shine something in the darkness, and they can get to where a seed can be planted and grow of truth. They go, oh, I feel much better. So it's, getting that. We're doing that here. You're doing it, Crystal. All of the different people out there telling the truth, and getting information. And, like you'd mentioned, Carrie, and she is getting whistleblowers. That's what she should be doing, is getting the whistleblowers out there, like William Tompkins, talking about the truth of the space program, and talking the 2 gentlemen she had talking about Looking Glass, and, people like Nicholas Van that I go on his platform, getting this truth out. And, the many wonderful truth seekers like our dear sister Kirsten, and all of those people getting the truth out. And as it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows, and it'll get bigger. It wouldn't be like when I first woke up 30 years ago, and it was a very rare person, somebody like Dr. Coleman that I got to talk to, or Jordan Maxwell that I got to talk to for 12 hours straight. I mean, from 5 p.m. at night till 5 a.m. We couldn't stop talking to each other. Like, well, you know this. What do you know about this? I was like, yeah, he was a fountain of every. We both were going, wow, this is awesome. And so, you know, you would only hit a few, you know, individuals like Martin William Cooper, and they killed him, and Phil Snyder about the dumbs, and they killed him. They would usually kill the people now. And now we can get out here to show you the difference. They're getting so down that they can't go after people like me that are in you and all of us telling the truth. There's too many people to go after, and they're fighting for their very existence now. So we are at the changing of the tide. It's just not evident yet because they still have the narrative under their control. That can't persist forever. It's falling apart. And as the light of the Holy Spirit and the light of day comes in and shines the truth, as you see, they're already having to tell the truth even when they don't want to. Do we have what biolabs? No, we don't have biolabs. We have bioresearch facilities. What do? You know, essentially what she said is they develop a defense against gain of function that they create. So you create a problem that you create a solution to so that everybody can get it slammed into them, right? That's exactly, you know, the same old narrative. People are seeing through it. And, you know, it's nothing that is hidden will be allowed to continue. Even they have to be telling the truth now. They're starting to leak it out, even though they don't want to. I feel it's the Holy Spirit grabbing a hold of them and coming out of their mouth. It's like the lights of truth is coming out of their mouth for once. Yay. So we're gonna see it. It's at first one light here and one drop over there, and it'll explode, and we'll watch the mainstream media crumble into oblivion. And we'll see a new media and a new truth coming back across the world. And, you know, like 107, it's the hand of God. I absolutely agree. And even Carrie, you know, in one of her blogs said, you know, that from what I understood, she was saying is that her insiders are telling her in battles they're having, they're seeing stuff happen. It can't be anything but that. So I totally agree. And it's a beautiful time. And it's an honor of a time to be alive and to be in service to help the human race and to help everybody come back to the truth.
Oh, Jean, you are very special. You know, Jean, you're so unique. I actually wrote to Carrie Cassidy to get her to interview you. Wouldn't it be great? Anyway, you were so humble. You kept on telling me that you're standing on the shoulders of giants, but you have become a giant yourself. I mean, look at you. A few years ago, you were the new kid on the block, but you hit the gong so loud, it became the loudest. It was heard from far, far, far away, and you got millions following you. You're amazing, Jean. Why have you got that got so many people coming to your clarion call?
Oh, thank you, Crystal. It's only because
it's your heart, it's your divinity,
I just
it's
love people, and I love you,
humility.
and I love people like Pontius and Fraz that are out there doing their best to help humanity. And, you know, for people that have been there punching for a very long time, like Carrie giving all the whistleblowers, and we need to do that. That's what we need to do, and not take each other down and call each other out. We need to get out there and do what we do, the things that we're best at. She's just brilliant at getting 30 years. She's been, you know, particle. She's had sonic attacks. You can see it in her face. She's been hurt badly. And yet she kept on getting the whistleblowers out there. I mean, some of the biggest ever. William Tompkins is the biggest ever. And all of these other people like Captain Mark Richards and these other people. So it's just, you know, I don't know if I would fit with her because I'm really not that much of a deal. I'm just a guy that is good at researching, putting information to the best of my ability together and listening to God when he talks. And that's about it. And you know, once in a while, something comes to me that I find and I put it out. But other than that, I'm not really, you know, what she does is get the big whistleblowers like William Tompkins and these people. So, you know, I love all of what she's done, as well as some amazing other people that are no longer with us, like Kirsten and Bill Cooper and Gordon Kaw and all of these other people. So I'm standing on the shoulders of giants like that. They gave everything to get us to this point, and now so many of us can now take up the reins and ride the horse into the light of the Holy Spirit and the truth and freedom for all of humanity and all life on earth to come back to what it was. And then the Space Force can come down and whatever else needs to come down, and we'll watch this earth grow into the garden it used to be, of a beautiful, it used to be a tropical rainforest pretty much all on everywhere you went on earth. Below a certain elevation, there wasn't even deserts. All of the deserts and all of that was atomic wars and all kinds of things, the pyramid wars that caused the Gobi Desert and the Sahara Desert and many others. It's just, we'll all watch it come back and grow back into the beauty it used to be. And it'll all be transmuted in the blink of an eye, and we'll all be on immediate earth going, yay, God wins. So thank you for Crystal for.
Oh, thank you. Well, if not for my Fesig brothers supporting this cause since day one, Dr. Fresfrezo, Pontus, James Ring, I wouldn't be able to do this so well. Thank you, bros. I love you. Jean, on that note, I would like to tell everyone, listeners out there, that Jean Decode, our beloved Jean Decode, spends many hours with us. I think we kept him talking for almost 3 hours now. Guilty. Answering all kinds of questions regarding the dance, timelines, etc., humanity's ascension. I want to say this, that he's got a new website that has been launched, blessedservice.org. I will share screen, okay, so you can see it. Yeah, and go to his new website because everything's there. All his interviews, his videos, and all that. And join him at the Real Jean Code.
Yeah, now the website is frozen.
Okay.
Blessed for Service website is got broke. Let's put it that way. So we have a new web designer that'll be connecting it all back up and transferring the code to a new server. We have a new server. We have to move to a new server. So because of that, we'll have it up probably no later than the 2nd of April. And then soon as that's up, Blessed for Service website is back up, we'll have Jean Decode going forward, and that'll probably be with it by no later than the end of April, along with a complete enhanced new version of Blessed for Service, where they can go .org, where they can get questions put through without going through the Gmails to the Blessed for Service team worldwide. So right now it's down and locked up because the code was broken and the servers, so we have to move to a new server. And so we're in the process of doing that. And so unfortunately it's down. So in the meantime, they can still get a hold of me through the Real Jean Decode Telegram you showed there, and also through my Gmail, carlosensei64 at Yahoo. At gmail.com, not Yahoo. You won't get anything going there. So I go through Gmail. It's way more flexible for me.
Right. So if you want, Jean has got projected to launch early in 2022, a closer walk with God.org. That's yours as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's our pastors that will be doing that for them and creating that website. And so as soon as Jean Decode and the Blessed for Service is completely done, the Closer Walk with God will be the next project, and that'll probably only take about a week. So we're looking at that probably possibly by the end of April as well. All of 3 of them by the end of April, but definitely by mid-May we'll be completely done with everything.
And you said if anyone would like to make a love donation to Jean Decode to honor him for all his selfless service to others and to help with the websites, you said we are now able to accept them, right? So you're now able to. So if you could write to Jean.
Yeah, so there's Ko-fi and Stripe donation down there. If people want to do that, I really appreciate everybody doing that. That's how we pay for this. So I really love all those kind and beautiful and sweet people. Thank you so much for your generosity and your kindness. And I love you all.
Am I allowed to show how they can make their
Yes.
donation to the address?
Yes.
Okay, it's being made public anyway. So this is Jean's address. You can send a check or money order to Jean Decode or Bless for Service, PO Box 441218, Aurora, CO 844. Right. So that's it, folks. There being no other business. Now, this private meeting is adjourned to our public meeting, which will be on the 6th of April, isn't it, Pontus? The next one, our public meeting.
Yes, could be.
Where we'll be having some amazing speakers speaking. Yet to be announced. Okay, so I think that's about it. Yeah, it will be announced. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for choosing to stay with us for these 3 solid hours. Thank you for taking time off to be with us and to be with Jean. And Jean, we thank you from our hearts for doing the work that you do. I love brother for waking up humanity big time. Thank you, Jean. Do look after your health, okay? We want you to live long and healthy to continue with this wonderful work of yours.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm much better than I was last year at this time. I'm really getting better. So, thanks to the different things that I found, for me, the big stuff was Magellan's direct stuff that really snapped it out, the leash on the Magellans, and those dudes are gone, only getting near shedders with their razor blade throwing at me. Then I get a few things and I just come home and do some drops and it works great, and I wash off with some Peavy's Corner, some Chlorgel, and that wipes out the little spots from the razor blades from the spike proteins, and I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm all done. I take a shower to do some that. I'm like, throw my clothes in the laundry, it's good to go. And so it's really great. And then the only last thing is, I was out shoveling snow, and we had poured a new driveway and into the carport. And so I didn't realize the downspout put the meltwater going across the new driveway, and it made a skating rink, and we had some fresh fallen snow. My feet went up. I looked at my down can like I'm supposed to, so you don't break your neck, but I popped my shoulder. I'm like, well, that's about the, I don't know, 50th time. So it's, I'm not a spring chicken, so it's taking a little time, but it's actually doing kinesio tape over that. It's holding the bones in place so it can heal. I went to the chiropractor 2 days ago, and he popped it back in. Showed me how to do it myself. So now I can, have my wife do it, or I can do it. And so it's healing, and I'm getting, I can actually use it already. It's only a little while. So I'm getting better.
Yes.
So it's great, and I'm feeling good, and there's no pain, and I'm getting great. And, we need to be there for each other. And so I can help everybody all over the world. And I really appreciate everybody that follows me, and I'll try to always honor you and do my very best to get the correct information. And if I make a mistake, know that I always post in retractions on my Real Gene Decode. So
nobody's perfect, Jim. Thank you for doing your level best.
Perfect with all of the garbage stuff that's on there. The subscription side, I'll be sharing some videos of different techniques that I do to gather energy, to increase your energy potential, to clean your body, to heal your body. There's Tai Chi kidney cleanses and liver cleanses that are energy movements. There's Qigong, different techniques. There's some breathing hands and breathing elbow techniques that help you generate a field of energy throughout your whole body, so you can get, energized, clean your body, and help to keep you young and supple, and, movement and fluid. And literally, through Tai Chi, it was the first time I felt it. I was doing the long form in the Yang style Tai Chi with one of my students, overlooking the rainforest and the ocean at Lakio, outside Lakio Beach, and on my patio on the house, one whole floor, upper level of Flores, right now. It's the only one in the whole area with 2 floors. And the Kokis were singing, and you could hear the ocean, and it was so beautiful. And I was just doing the form, and all of a sudden I felt my body moving by itself, literally the Holy Spirit moving my body, and I was flowing with it. and I literally freaked me out so much I had to stop. I went, whoa, what was that? It's like God is moving me. I could feel it moving through me, the oneness with God. And so it's, for me, the way I unify with God. And, it gets way beyond self-defense, like us saying, to where it's a win-win situation like we did today. And so for me, it's the definition of being one. And where we go one, we go all. So thank you, Crystal, and God bless and Godspeed to everyone.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you all. I want to share this because we only have, as I say, less than 150 members joining us on our Fesig group. We need more people jumping in. Please join us, because I think Facebook has been blocking us and we can't get things out to everyone. So if you could join the Telegram channel, we will be able to reach out to you. Okay. And also subscribe to BitChute, because Jean's videos will not be in our YouTube channel anymore. So all those controversial ones will be with the truth news, will be plunked into our BitChute channel and our Odyssey. Joining us, so there being no other business now in this private meeting, it is now adjourned to the 99th Fesig meeting on the 6th of April. Be on the lookout, okay? We will still announce in Facebook and send out the MailChimp to all the members. But if you're not subscribed, go to our website, click on join us, and you'll be subscribed on MailChimp, and you'll be receiving our newsletters every month, once a month, okay? And invited to join the meetings. Thank you, Jean. And thank you, Pontus, for quietly backing up every meeting, and Fresh as well with your recordings and sharing screen and co-chairing. Thank you, bros.